Hello, hello. How are we doing, everyone? Oh, it is so good to be here on this wonderful Wednesday evening. Welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I'm your host, Perino, and I'm on my own today. And I have to say, it is almost pretty much exclusively my fault for being on my own, because I thought Ryan had said that he was going to be back this week. He's not. He's going to be back next week. Totally my fault. I was the one that messed that up, you know. But you know, it's not a great feeling when you make the mistake yourself and you really have no one to blame but yourself, right? That's the thing. It's really only my fault exclusively. So, not the best feeling in the world, but it's okay because we have a ton of stuff going on. Again, I apologize for starting the show a little bit late. I just haven't been feeling great. I was debating not even doing the show today. I'll admit to you that, you know, partially because I didn't have someone, partially because my voice is a little bit shot. So I do apologize as well if it ends a little bit early today, because I don't know how much my throat can handle. So we will see how that goes. But guys, none of that negative Nancy stuff. If you didn't know, this is episode number 36 of Around the Scene. We are here every Wednesday for you to get your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a sub on Twitch. Click that subscribe button on YouTube. You know, do the things with the buttons so you can stay in touch with us on all your different platforms. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on Google Play Music. We're everywhere. So, you know, make sure to do the thing. You can also consider supporting the show by kicking us a buck over on patreon.com/playingwithrockets. Speaking of our Patreon, I'd like to give a big shout out to our Patreon producers of the month for January. They are Father of Five, Neo, and Kyle. Thank you guys for being supporters of the show. We appreciate that more than you could ever possibly know. Again, the only way to interact with the show is to be here with us live on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/playingwithrockets. So if you guys want to hang out and join me in the chat, you are always free to do so. Again, that is every Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern. So, with all of that being said, what do we got today? Well, we've got a whopping 2 big pieces of news. And I'm not sure which one I should start with. I'm going to take like a 50-50 shot. I'm going to close my eyes and pick one, whichever one my mouse ends up on is the one I will go with. And we're going to go actually with the one that I had listed second in my notes here. So, big shakeup on the RLCS desk for our analyst and casting talent. Lawler has come out and said he will not be returning to the desk for season 9 of RLCS. He made a statement, put it out there on all of his social platforms, and basically what had happened was that his contract had expired and he will not be re-signed to the desk in the future. Now, again, he actually went on the Subpar Potty C podcast, and I don't want to step on their toes too much, so I'm not just going to go and rip all their content from them. But basically, he had a couple of interesting points to be made. I don't want to say he was negative about it, because I don't think that's necessarily the right word. I think he's still obviously very professional and he's not trying to burn any bridges. But, you know, he came out and said, I think, a lot of the things that we had suspected about Psyonix for a long time. You know, again, if you want to listen to the full interview, go check out their podcast. It's a great podcast, and I'll give them the shout out here on the show. And again, I just don't want to blatantly, steal their content, but um, I don't know how I feel about this. It's probably something along the lines of, okay, Lawler's been on the desk for a while. His contract expires. Lawler probably wants to get paid. And Psyonix probably just doesn't want to pay him. At the end of the day, it's probably that simple. Again, we're only hearing, of course, one side of it. Again, I'm just pulling up the, again, I'm not going to play their audio, but I'm just pulling up some of the notes that I took after I listened to it. But yeah, he made a couple of interesting points. Some things that I'll share with you. One of the things that I thought was interesting was he talked about how, how the esports scene sort of exploded and almost got out of, I don't want to say out of hand, because that's not really the right word, but got almost too big for itself. The esport has grown in such a dramatic fashion from where they started, and from their indie developer roots, right? It's what they always say about Psyonix. They're a small company. But he sort of confirmed, a sense that there's only so much Psyonix can do with the staff that they have on hand. But yeah, I don't know. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I really liked Lawler on the desk, personally. I was always a big fan of him. I follow him on his other stuff as well. He's always done great stuff with the community. He's very plugged in for sources for RLCS, of course. So he always seemed to have that inside scoop as to where people were going and when. Yeah, I think this is a loss. It'll be interesting to see who replaces him ultimately. There was a huge thread over on the subreddit. There's a lot of speculation that it will be Over0, who appeared on the desk at the end of last season. And there's a pretty significant chance that he's going to be continuously on the desk from here on out. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think there are a host of wonderful, talented people in this community who are working their tails off to cast, to do analysis, to do all of this stuff. And I just think taking a former pro and just saying, yeah, sure, go ahead, take the spot, whatever. It's like, makes you sort of believe perhaps Lawler's side of the story, Game got too big for them. Not enough people working on the esports side of it. I don't know. I'd much rather prefer someone, hell, even someone from the RLRS, right? Have someone from the RLRS move up and, use that as your talent pool, right? Promote them into the RLCS desk and casting pool. I know Lawler hasn't really done that much casting since actually a couple seasons now, I think. I know he was pretty much exclusively used on the desk, but still, why not just promote someone from the RLRS? I think Subi Smash is a phenomenal caster and a great personality on the desk. And I'd like to see more of him in the RLCS. But obviously that's not confirmed yet. We don't really know who Psyonix is going to take, if they take anyone at all. They might just drop a spot on the desk. They have the ability to do that. They're not obligated to keep anyone just because, sentimentality. Also makes you wonder too, though, who else is going to be catching the axe, though, you know? I have a feeling James Bott's next, him or Gibbs, because they're the veterans that are still, you know, working as talent for RLCS. And I just, man, if Psyonix ever gets rid of Gibbs, the outrage from this community, James Bott too, actually. I'm a huge fan of both. And I know a lot of people are a huge fan of both of them. I don't know. There was a ton of support for Lawler, though. And one of the big things he said, which I respected immensely, was, you know, to make sure to continue to support your community events and stuff for your, not for your professional players, but more for your bubble scene. And Lawler was very big on that. Christ, I'm talking about him like he died. He didn't die. But, you know, that was the one big thing that he said too, is that, you know, it's up to us to sort of keep it alive. You know, by us, I mean people who listen to shows like this, people who watch tournaments, people who are very, you know, keyed in, up to date, you know, fans, really fans of the scene. It's up to us to sort of, you know, keep it afloat, which, yeah, I don't know. We try to do what we can here. And sometimes it doesn't feel like enough, but other times, you know, grateful for the help. Speaking of which, I'll add this in the thing too, because it's sort of flowing into the next topic. But if you guys didn't see, Dazarin launched an EU version of the skirmish, and that caught fire, huh? How about that? He raised something along the lines of $2,000 for the first prize pool for the EU skirmish. Good for Daz. There's someone who could, you know, work on the RLCS desk, huh? Why not Dazarin? For how much he's done for this scene and how much he continues to do. You know, there was a whole big thing about how, you know, the European bubble scene is dying and there's not enough tournaments, and, you know, we're losing all of these organizations that do the tournaments in EU. Daz stepped up. Good for him. You know, he was able to look at it and say, all right, if there's a demand for it, let's do it. And he got people to contribute to a $2,000 prize pool for their first tournament. That's sick. And I'm pretty sure he's scheduled to do another one. You know, and it's so important and healthy for this scene. We need people like Dazarin to, you know, make sure people like Lawler, you know, he did the brawl and some other things as well, you know, who will sponsor those kinds of events and get people to play. You know, that's the big thing. I mean, here at Playing with Rockets, yeah, we actually, fun fact, just relaunched our Launchpad tournament, haha. And, you know, it's a $75 weekly tournament. It's not enough really on its own, I don't think. Again, I don't work as much on the tournament side here, but it's something. You know, we try to contribute what we can, and it's hard. It's a lot of work. You know, and Ryan and the rest of the team could obviously go into incredible detail as to how much work it is and how much effort they put into it. You know, and how challenging it is to set up these things for no personal benefit, by the way. You know, it's exclusively volunteer work, and yeah, you just need that level of commitment, you know? It's hard. The real question is, should Psyonix fund, you know, some of these bubble scene tournaments? Probably. Answer to that is probably. It would be nice if we could just increase our prize pool, because Psyonix said, yeah, you know, here's an extra, I mean, even like $1,000 a month, you know, $250 weekly tournaments. You know what I mean? That's 12 grand. At the end of the day, do you know, 3 tournaments for NA and EU, and then like 1 at OC, 1 in SAM. That's what, 8 tournaments times 12. How much money do you think Psyonix loses because of that? You know what I mean? I don't know. It seems like such a relatively small investment to them, considering how much money they make from this game. And I'll give you a hint: they make a ton of money. But yeah, that's one of the things I hope that comes along with the full-on acquisition from Epic. Moving my vowels around. I hope Daddy Epic steps in and says, "No, we're just gonna pump some cash in this," because there are already really good organizations out there that are more than capable of producing quality content for tournaments like this. It's one of those things where it seems like such a simple fix. If you just inject some cash into it, it's fine. But I mean, nothing's certain too. Do you trust these organizers to produce a quality product for you? You're putting all this money out there. Are you really seeing the return on that investment? I get it. I do. But it's a hot button issue this offseason. We've seen a lot of personalities and people all over social media weighing in on it. For me, I think it's such a relatively easy thing to just dump some cash into, But that's just me. I think the infrastructure is already there for them, and if they just decided to just pump some money into it, it would fix a lot of the problems. Because that's the biggest thing for us, really. It's just making sure that we can fund our prize pool. It's unless you're paying for it straight up out of pocket every week, that gets expensive fast. $75 a week, $300 a month. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot for any one individual, and it's a lot for any organization too. I mean, we're fortunate here that we have sponsors, and we have people who support through our Patreon, and people who support on Twitch, and all these other things. Between all of that, we make it work. But I don't know. Just give me some cash, Psyonix, and I'll make a great tournament for you. I promise. I promise. DMs are open. But yeah, straight a little bit off topic there. Enough of that. We're going to switch over to our second piece of Rockets League news. That is the Rocket League Lucky Lanterns event. Starts January 20th. If anybody was playing the game today, you probably saw an update hit on console, on PC, all over the place. Nothing too extreme in this one. We finally got our first official look at the White Dominus, which I know will excite a lot of people. They are bringing in the China map. We have seen, again, some footage and some illustrations of the map from China. I forget what they're calling it. I'm looking in the trailer right now. They had a name for the map, but yeah, it is the China map that has been released in China with of course, their version of the game launches across the way. But it's also another in-game event similar to the Frosty Flakes event that was active, or all of that stuff. I think we're getting new Monster Cat songs as well, is what I'm hearing, which is good. But yeah, nothing too crazy, I think, there. Again, I'm just going to check the patch notes really quick for this one, make sure I didn't miss anything major, because that would be unfortunate if I did. But no, it seems like that's about it. Yeah, again, stuff like this is good. It's nice that we're getting a new map finally. It seems like it's been a while. Last one we got was Salty Shores, right? And that one was a hot minute. And the map does look sick. When you look at it in trailers, and even if you just go to RocketLeague.com, and you go to their in-game event, some of the high-res images and stuff from this map, they're so nice. My word. I mean, at least, again, for as much as people like to dumpster on Psyonix, you gotta give them credit where it's due. it's a nice looking aesthetic for a map. You know what I'm saying? It's got this really nice like purple pinkish hue to it. You know, I like the architecture style of the map itself. It looks like it'll be fun to play on. And it looks like it won't be so difficult on your eyes for anyone that plays Salty Shores daytime. Ugh, you know, it's the hardest part. It's like it's a competitive map. Just make sure it looks good, but that we can play on it too. Again, sorry, my throat's still not fully up to speed yet, so I do apologize for taking breaks here and there. But yeah, um, looks like a cool event. I'm excited for it. I just want to play on that new map. Items, you know, new car, whatever. Just give me the map, baby. That's all I want. But again, moving right along here, we have the roster shuffle. And so, not too many things, certainly not as much as there was last week. We're just gonna kind of go over. I know there was some more stuff in the bubble scene. I'm not gonna go over that too much. We're just gonna go over the highlight items. And again, we're just going by what is officially confirmed. We're not gonna really be touching on rumors too much. First item, of course, this one just coming hot off the press today. Alpha 54 will officially be joining Team Vitality. Scrub Killa has been released. It is a Scrub Killa out, Alpha 54 in situation. Yeah. Now that it's official, I can say, you know, I don't know how comfortable I am with the move, but on paper, it seems like Vitality should be okay. You know, if it was really a personality or language barrier clash with them, with Scrub, you know, having an all-French team now, it makes sense. They're a French org, they have a French team. Again, on paper, that team should crush. Kaydop and Fairy P Alpha is still nuts. They were very good with Scrub, but I don't think Alpha is in any significant way a downgrade from Scrub. It'll be interesting to see if their results improve that much with this. You know, Alpha, outside of his breakout season, you know, we know the talent is there with him because, you know, it's evident when he plays, but he hasn't really seen too much success outside of his breakout season with FC Barcelona. His TSM stint did not go too great, but yeah, I can't help but be excited for Team Vitality. You know, it's such an interesting dynamic when you have a team that's this good and they decide to make a change. You know, can they keep up that level of performance with a new player? Again, in theory, I think they can. But obviously there's only one way to see. Again, this is something that's sort of been on the cards for a while now. It's been more or less an open secret, but now we can actually say it. So yeah, it's a huge move for them. It's definitely one of the biggest moves this offseason. Again, we also have an idea that Scrub will, at this point, almost certainly be joining Mouse Sports. It's just a question of when he gets signed again. We can't really say it because it's not official yet, but that'll be an interesting one for Scrub as well. You know, playing with Kux and Speed. Kux has such a unique play style. I wonder how Scrub fits in with it. Given Scrub's individual mechanical ability, it'll be interesting to see how he rotates with Kux. I imagine that team, I'll call it now, I imagine that team actually struggles pretty heavily out of the gate. I foresee a lot of playstyle clash between Scrub and Kux here. You know, I think they'll have a difficult time with it. And yeah, I think again, on the face of it, I think Vitality at least they break even on this move, you know. I don't think it hurts them. For Scrub, I don't know. It feels like a downgrade, of course, you know, because this is a Vitality team that has torn through Europe and they've won RLCS and they finished second this season, you know, so it's obviously very lofty expectations. But yeah, that's the big ticket item. You know, make sure to keep your eye on that one because that team can do some damage, as they say. And next piece of news, again, this is also in European RLCS. TSM has officially announced their roster. Again, of course, they just lost Alpha 54, so they have picked up Magnus. So it is Metza, Magnus, and Remco, and they are being coached by Snasky on TSM. Ooh, lad. I don't know how I feel about this one. I don't know how I feel about this one. I mean, obviously there's a nostalgic element to it. You know, you have Metzenaris and Magnus who have come such a long way throughout their RLCS careers and have taken such dynamic and different paths. To be reunited at this point is cool. I just worry a lot about the viability of that team, whether or not they'll survive EU RLCS. You know, I don't know if the talent and ability is there to keep this roster in the RLCS. I think this is a team that will probably struggle to stay above the drop again this season. Again, just 1-for-1 Alpha for Magnus is not really it feels like a downgrade. Obviously, Alpha was probably the best player on that team by a fairly wide margin. I don't think Magnus is necessarily capable of filling in those shoes, but yeah, I don't know. It's such an interesting move with Magnus there. I don't know. It's tough to really say how they'll do. I'm not really sold on it. You know? I'm not really sold on the idea that Magnus will be the impetus for that team's success. You know? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, you know? Say something in chat or put something in our YouTube comments or wherever, you know? Let me know what you think because I don't know, I don't have too much on it. The only thing I'll say is I don't really know where else they could have gone to pick up talent, you know? It seems like that, you know, outside of getting Scrub 1-to-1, I don't know. It makes it tough. Alpa saying in chat, I think Vitality is stacked now. Getting rid of Scrub was the best idea. Interesting that you're that high on it. I don't know. It's tough when their results were so good with Scrub. It's obviously very large shoes to fill. I think Alpha is capable of filling those shoes. I don't even think it's a downgrade necessarily, but I don't know if it's as huge of an upgrade as you might be suggesting there. But yeah, we will continue on here. Another bit of organization news. The discombobulators have been picked up by Team Endpoint. And I just clicked the Twitter link for it, and it's a broken link. Oops. I don't know that much about Team Endpoint. So I was going to use that tweet there to help me help me form an opinion about it, but it seems like I can't pull it up. So yeah, Good for the discombobulators. Obviously, getting picked up by an org is huge. Helps when you make RLCS. Yeah, obviously, people want to get in on it. Alpa asking in chat, do we know anything about C9? Yes, we do know about C9. They are staying with their roster. It was heavily rumored a couple of weeks ago that they were trying out thirds for other than Torment, but they have elected to stay with Squishy, Gimmick, and Torment, and that roster is locked. Again, that actually brings up another point too, if we're going to be talking about North America here. First killer, we know where he's going. It's Ghost Gaming. Continuing the time-honored tradition of Ghost just picking up a nutty mechanical player. Yeah, it seems like this is the piece where all of the free agents in North America will sort of, have a predetermined spot. Yeah, be very interesting to see First Killer in his debut in RLCS. Ghost always has this thing where they just are constantly swapping thirds. And they seem to just be going younger and more mechanically based with every roster move that they make. It feels like throwing paint at a wall and seeing what sticks, if that makes sense. Just keep signing another nutty mechanical player and seeing if the results get there, and just keep doing it, and eventually you'll get a team that makes land. Yeah, I don't know. Again, obviously I think First Killer has a ton of talent, don't get me wrong. If you've ever seen the kid play, he is literally insane. Mans is just all over the place, and he's definitely worth a shot in the RLCS. Again, it'll just be interesting to see whether whether he can compete at this level. We haven't really seen First Killer playing. I mean, obviously they must have tried him out, and they must have something going on where they can say, all right, this kid's the real deal, let's make it happen. Alpa saying and shit, I feel like he's going to be a bust. He's not really a threes player. Yeah, that's the big thing, right? And we haven't seen him play at this level. But you have to take that risk, I think if you're in the RLCS, it's so competitive these days that you have to be constantly looking to make improvements. He's a nutty player, but yeah, I wonder how that team goes, because that will be Atomic, First Killer, and Illusion, right? Jeez, it's a lot of offense. And yeah, I don't know. I think they might struggle early. Again, teams that typically make roster moves don't usually just come swinging out of the gate. It normally takes time for a roster that's new to fully settle into RLCS. It's one of the advantages of having a longer season, though, is that you get more of an adjustment period, and it's more forgiving if you drop series early. But I'm excited for Ghost, and excited for First Killer. This has been a very, very long time coming for First Killer. He has been at the top of this game for some years now, but he has just been too young to play. And good for him. He's signing with a good organization. Team should do well. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, it seems to, we'll touch on the rest of the North American spots, because again, with that, there are only 2 spots left open in North America. Those are Rogue's spot, which AJ left open when he moved to Pittsburgh Knights, and that is RBG's spot, again with the departure of Aeon. So it seems extremely, extremely likely. Again, we can't confirm this, but this is, again, both logically what would happen and what we've seen from certain leaks or whatever. It seems that Memory, who will be departing Ghost, that Memory will be picked up by RBG, and Rogue will take Mist from Pittsburgh Knights, who again dropped Mist for AJ. I'll touch on Rogue first. AJ for Mist, I don't know if it's enough for Rogue. It'll be interesting to see if their playstyle is altered any. I think it actually might help unlock Kronovi a little bit, if that makes sense, and Wonder as well. Mist is a very, very good player. But I don't think he's as individually oriented as AJ was. Again, AJ was capable of providing that spark for Rogue, but when it always felt like whenever someone with Rogue wasn't clicking, AJ's play suffered. I think it'll take a second for Rogue to transition, but I think actually it'll help that team, to be honest with you. I know that sounds crazy, because obviously AJ is that good, but I think it might help unleash Wonder and Kronovi a little bit, but it will not be easy for them. I'll say that. Alpa, however, disagreeing with me, he's saying, no, it's horrible for Rogue. I think you're underestimating Mist there a little bit. Two different players in Mist and AJ, but Mist is still very, very good. And is definitely worthy of competing in RLCS. He's just not quite as flashy, perhaps, as AJ, but Mist is still a very nuts player, and I fully expect him to do some damage with Rogue. Again, I think that move might surprise some people. I think it might actually help them, but I don't know. I think sorry. I think the ceiling for that team is higher with AJ on the roster, but the floor for that team is higher with Mist, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? If Rogue is at their lowest, I think Mist can help keep them up. But when Rogue is playing really well, I think AJ's ceiling is higher. So I think I might give Rogue some more consistency, if that makes sense. Which they could desperately use because they have barely survived the past couple of seasons by avoiding relegation. And that's not a fun spot to be in. Again, no team likes losing. So, yeah, that'll be interesting. And then, of course, again, provided that's what happens, again, this is all theoretically incomplete, but that would then leave Memory to RBG, that coveted third spot for that organization. Yeah, that's I don't know. It feels like it's not enough for them as well. I think RBG will have a difficult time surviving in the RLCS as it is. Frankly, I don't know who you could bring in that would say, oh yeah, this team's definitely going to stay up when they add X player. A team of Rapid, Seabass, and again, in theory, Memory is interesting. And Memory might provide a little bit more stability than Aeon, but is that enough? I don't really think so, I don't see that being a team that really, makes too much noise on RLCS. But we've seen crazier things happen, at the beginning of last year, when Triple Trouble disbanded, we all said about Veloce, we all said, oh, this team's not going to do anything, they really shouldn't even be here, as if that line hasn't been repeated often enough. And then they went out and they crushed it in EU. So I don't know. Predictions for these things are hard, man. You know, even for someone who I would say I follow the scene pretty extensively. Again, just by nature of doing this show, you have to, in a way. Um, Predicting it is so difficult. You know, there's so many variables, and the game itself is so hit or miss, inconsistent. Just week to week performances from teams. Nothing is a surefire bet in Rocket League, at least at this, at the highest level. Nothing is guaranteed. So that's why we always love this off season. It's always the most wonderful time of year, um, because we get to speculate, and we get to try and say, oh, this player is gonna do well and this team's gonna do bad, and oh, they shouldn't have cut this guy, and I think that's what makes it exciting, is just how volatile the scene is. Because it is, it's entertaining. And it's fun to think, oh, what puzzle pieces can we put together to try and make a good team and blah blah blah, because it's hard. It's hard to be good in this game, and it's hard to be consistently good at this game. That's why I say, again, provided Mouse Sports makes the move for Scrub Kill, I'll sit here and say I think that team struggles early, um, just because of playstyle, and then they'll go out and they'll prove me wrong, and they'll probably sweep the entirety of the EU. You know what I mean? It's just it's a very challenging spot to be in. I think a lot of that has to do with how the meta is played at the highest level in this game, in the sense that with how individually good players are mechanically these days, um, it's hard to predict how teams play together. Again, if you think even back in the OG Dignitas days, the way that Dignitas crushed teams, because they consistently crushed teams, was they passed the ball. They moved it around. Violent Panda, distributing to Kaydop and Turbo, and they wrecked teams by just being able to look for each other and passing. Now it's much more, individual plays, and you look for the flip resets and the double touches and the ceiling shots, and just work to, um, position and rotate. Um, it's all about applying that pressure and just waiting for the mistake and being able to pounce when you get your shot. Um, but yeah, Alpha's saying the days of mechanical skill is over, in my opinion. The skill gap from rank B plus to rank S is so little. It's all about positioning and rotation now. It's interesting that you think that. Again, I'm not playing in lobbies at that level, so I can't really say. It makes sense that there are players who are obviously very good mechanically. It's a lot mental too. I think one of the most underrated pieces that you call it positioning and rotation, but I think a lot of it is just managing tilt and managing team spirit as well. I think that's such an underrated piece of it. Um, I'm sure if anyone's played Rocket League at any sort of competitive level with a team, and you're in voice comms together, um, it can be difficult to maintain a healthy attitude throughout a series. It's so easy to get upset and to get irritated because you get a 50-50 that you think you won, or you miss a touch, or you just misplace a touch even by just a little bit. And again, at that level especially, the slightest mistakes get punished. I think one of the hardest things is just managing that tilt. And it's hard because, again, especially when you grind this game for 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you know, the smallest things can just set you off. And yeah, I don't know, it just makes it very difficult to do it. I think that's, again, low key one of the reasons why coaching is so important, because if you can have someone sitting in there and saying like, look, guys, like it's okay, you know, just relax and take a deep breath, focus, and get ready to go. Or, you know, gas people up when you need to, like, you know, when a lot's sitting there going, let's fucking go, Speed, you're so fucking good. You know, you need that. You do. And again, because the players are so young, that's the other part of it, right? You know, think like First Killer, for example, has been, you know, competing at this level since he was 11 years old. If I were 11 years old and playing this game at that level, I would rage all the time. Are you kidding? You know, it's hard to keep your emotions in check when, you know, I'm 24, and when I play this game, sometimes I get mad and upset and angry and rah, 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 rah. I'm 24, you know? Imagine being, you know, 15 years old and just getting into RLCS and trying to manage your emotions. You know, you're getting paid now. You have all of these eyes on you. Everyone's watching. You know, there's so much hype, and you got to deliver. It's a lot, you know, and it's just an aspect of this that's not really talked about that often. But I think it makes a huge difference because again, everyone is so good at this level. All of the players are nuts. You know what I mean? There's not a huge skill gap. Again, at least mechanically, there's not a huge skill gap. You know, at like the very highest level. Um, there are obviously some players that stand out, but not too many. You know, and yeah, it's just hard, man. But oh, I think we're almost at the end of the show. Where are we at? Oh, 10 minutes to go still, at least. I don't know if I have another 10 minutes, to be honest with you. I might cut this one a little bit shorter than usual, just because, again, my throat isn't holding up, and there isn't too much else to really talk about. I'm looking here. What else is there to talk about? For anyone that's looking for a follow up with Nose Dude, again, we sort of poked fun last week because he was on a team and then he wasn't on a team. Um, but yeah, he has teamed up with Ty Not Tyler and Prime Thunder. So again, that is Nose Dude, Ty Not Tyler, and Prime Thunder. They have teamed up for the RLRS qualifiers. I like that squad. I think it's good. You know, same thing with the bubble teams though. It just feels like you're taking pieces and just like throwing it against the wall and seeing what sticks. Um, but in theory, I like that team. Uh, hold on. I'm just making sure that I didn't miss anything big. Um, oh, Triple Trouble is going through and they're releasing the roster. They haven't released the full roster yet. Do do do. They have announced their second player is Rix Ronde. They're sort of doing a staggered roster announcement. They're not doing it every single day. Um, who was the other player that they announced? I think it was Ronicky, right? Maybe. Uh, oh, it's Tadpole. Sorry, Tadpole and Rix Ronde. Sorry, not Ronicky. Jesus. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm really out of it, man. So yeah, they're going through and announcing it day by day, which is somewhat annoying, but you know, again, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure that I didn't miss anything big. Because otherwise, I think I'm pretty much gonna wrap it up again. My, I'm just not feeling it. Do do do. I want the news segment. Come on. News. Team Dignitas is staying the same. Let's see. PJ joins the Three Sins. Again, if you follow the South American scene, that's a piece there. Again, PJ was released from INTZ. They added drops for anyone following the South American scene. That's an important update there. Freaky has confirmed that the Veloce roster is staying the same. So that is good. Demonator's suspension has expired. He will join Melodic Misery and Krasix for an RLRS run. I thought I saw a result with them where they did pretty well. I don't remember if it was the skirmish, if it was another tournament, maybe like a Crimson Wings. But yeah, that's an interesting one to me. Very talented player. Who again ran afoul of saying some bad words online. They certainly have the potential, I think. Again, just purely based on a talent level, they have a shot at it. Oh, here's one. All right, we'll spend the last couple of minutes here talking about this. Noxus, Forky, and Scissors form Easy AF for RLRS. Yeah, what do we think about Scissors trying to do this? For Forky and Noxus, I don't know if I do this. I don't know if you guys watch Scissors that much. Again, he has a pretty huge following independently from doing, you know, the phase stuff, whatever, Fortnite, all that. I think Scissors is decent, but I don't think there's any realistic chance that they get in, right? You know? I think they're capable of making the top 128 for the RLRS plans, but I don't see that as a team that should strike fear in anyone. Reminds me almost of back when back in the F2 days, you know, with John Sandman, Neat Mike, and Woofless, when they actually went on that huge run in the RLCS qualifiers, back when you had to directly play in for RLCS. I don't know. Again, Noxus and Forky are good. If they had a legitimate third, it would be something. But Scissors, I don't know. When you watch him play along someone like Flakes, you can tell he has a hard time keeping up. He's good. Again, don't get me wrong. He's pretty solid, and he's gotten much better. But I appreciate the fact that he's drawing attention to the scene like this, you know. Alpha saying if they had a legit third, they'd be competing for top 10. Yeah, maybe. But I can also understand too doing it for the clout, you know. It's hard to be a professional in this game. It takes a ton of work and effort, and I don't want to say that doing content is less work and effort. It's just a different kind of work and effort. And yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting. You know, it'll make a couple good YouTube videos and some good Twitch streams and stuff. You know. But yeah, that's another thing as well. What do you guys think about Scissors trying to get into the RLRS with Noxus and Forky? Because yeah, that's a big one. Oh, all right. I think that's it for me. I'm cutting it a little bit short, but glad I got through most of an hour with you guys. It's been good. Again, I apologize, one, for starting late, two, for being ending it kind of early. It's just kind of a long day for me, and again, I messed up having a co-host with me, so I was annoyed about that. It wasn't a great start, but we got there, guys. We got there. But ladies and gentlemen, my name is Perino. You can find me on Twitter at Perino TV. You can also follow me on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/Perino. I am also doing some casting. If you really want to check me out, you can also look for Playverses. That is PLAYVS. On Twitch, they host high school Rocket League they do high school Rocket League and League of Legends. I will be casting the grand finals for a few of the different states for that. So if you are interested at all in checking that out, you can find me there as well. But guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been another great episode. Again, be sure to follow us here on Twitch, twitch.tv/playingwithrockets, and our Twitter at PWR Leagues. This episode will be published out on YouTube and Spotify and all the other great podcasting platforms that we're at. Guys, this has been Around the Scene, presented by Playing with Rockets. I am Perino. Again, thank you so much for joining me as always. It is so great to have you all. Love you. And enjoy the rest of your evening. Peace out, everyone.